Hello everyone, welcome to this message. So as our first card today, we have She of the Kruak, which has to do with which, through which lens you look at the world. And this could be you picking up on the experiences of another if you are an empath or a telepath, so it could connect to that. And it can also connect to the lens of identity, the lens of society, for example, the lens of like a non-egoic lens, looking through the eyes of God, right? So having a divine perspective on the world. And I think today it likely has something to do with a non egoic lens. Um, but the next two cards are the Lady of the Harvest and Tobiah of the Waters. So let's just see. So why am I saying that I do think that this probably relates to a non-egoic lens? Is because we have the Temperance card, which is a card of service. Because lately, this non-egoic lens has something to do with being an Earth Angel, has had something to do with being of service to others. So having a non-egoic lens means that you are looking at the world from the idea of that you want to serve humanity, that you want to be of service to the world, and that you are like that your identity is more like your identity is in service of the world, but it's not really um it's much more a divine expression, your identity, than it is an identity, you could say. So you're not really attached to that. It's a perhaps it even has a flowing nature as well, right? Because it is divine expression, and it's just a divine expression that's in service to the world. So you're not really walking through the world from the lens or from the perspective, the embodiment of an identity, right? So you just want to be of service to the world, and there is something here about a slow pace and hospitality, um, which relates to a memory where I was invited when I was doing an internship in Brussels. I was invited by two ladies, two other interns, right? Two ladies, like two Italian ladies, and they asked us, they invited us to dinner in their apartment close by. So that's why I connected to hospitality and to slow pace as well, because they're like the Italians like to take their time, like to really cook and like eat a little bit, and then like the next, like it takes some time before you have eaten dinner. So it was quite a beautiful experience. So it relates to that. So I do think maybe you have taken your time to really be there for someone, because this person is sitting at the bar, and usually this is a time when people talk about what is going on and what's going on in their private life, for example, right? So I do think like when you go to a bar, like the bartenders are likely like people who this would be like a bartender who would really take their time to really listen to the troubles of the person on the other side of the bar, right? So I do think it has something to do with that, like you taking your time to really listen to someone, to listen to their concerns, to be there for others. So to be of service to the world, right? And you're looking at things from a non-egoic lens. So it also means that you are in listening in service of them, and you're not listening with judgment, right? You're not there as an identity, you could say. Um, yeah. So that's what this is talking about, and that's probably the theme of this message, right? So let's see. And then, as our next card, we have the Lady of the Harvest. So, the Lady of the Harvest has something to do with. It usually makes me think about like a tick being removed. So something like something that was draining you that was removed. So maybe something that was draining you. Maybe even looking through the lens of maybe your ability to be an empath or your ability to be a telepath could have been something that was draining you recently, or it could be in that this is now has moved away, right? So it could be that. um it could be you coming back to yourself, and as a result not being so drained. It could be anything, right? So that, or harvesting as a result of that. We'll have to see what this is about, because it's not really clear at this moment in time. And then we have Tobiah of the Waters. So Tobiah of the Waters is a card of like where she is like scrying the world, right? So she is looking at the world and probably receiving messages to reality. She is listening to reality. She is observing reality. Also, sometimes is a card of self care as well. but this is more like nurturing. Uh, this is like the like care for others, right? But it's a little bit like self care for others. Maybe a little bit of a weird thing to say, but like it's like as you are looking at the world, you are looking through the pers- maybe something like the perspective of self care through others somehow, which makes me think about like that you treat another the way you would like to be treated is also a little bit the same notion in a sense. Um, like you, yeah, just like you treat others like you would like to be treated, and but you also treat. It's also a little bit like you treat yourself like the way you were supposed to be treated in a sense, right? So you treat others the way they were supposed to be treated as well. So it's kind of like it's there's something fascinating about that, about caring for others, but it's kind of like self-care to others in a sense if you look at it from a really cosmic level. Yeah. Um so maybe something that was previously draining you, which could be you looking through the lens of other people, right? So in the past you were looking through the lens of other people, so you were so this would be a little bit like you were not listening to other people like an earth angel, but you were, for example, like picking up their emotions, their thoughts, their physical symptoms, perhaps, right? So it could be that perhaps that you were that this was quite that it was hindering you to take care of other people in a sense. I think it has probably something to do with that this was making it hard for you to be your loving self, to be um, to care. It was making it hard for you to care for other people. Um, and now this is gone, right? Now that this energy has left you, so you're not empathically or telepathically picking up on someone else. You now have the ability to really listen and to really care for others, to really be present for them, you could say, right? So to be without, it's also kind of fascinating to be without identity, right? So um, to be an angel without identity, without where the identity is just an expression, a divine expression in this world, right? Where you are just expressing God through your being, through your personality, through your identity, but you don't really have an identity. It is just an expression, you could say, an expression that is in service of the world, that is needed for the person that is in front of you, which is a little bit different, right? So you would say like, well, that's kind of the same as like being like picking up on someone's thoughts and emotions. So to be a little bit like a mirror, right? Which is also a little bit what this is in a sense, like a mirror. Um, so you so right now you can really listen and care for other people and generously give of your time and your energy and your love and your attention and your presence because you are not being a mirror to them. So um you are not picking up on their thoughts, you are not picking up on their emotions. So you could say like you are not picking up on their identity. You are you are able to express the divine now as a result of that, right? Instead of expressing a picked up identity from another, pretty much. So yeah, and this is now removed. So let's see what this is about. And perhaps a harvest could result from that, but I'm not sure. So let's see. And then you have Penelope Dreamweaver. So Penelope Dreamweaver is the inspiration fairy, really. So maybe you are maybe you can bring an inspiring influence to Earth because this is like like the divine grounding into the earth, right? And like a manifestation of something on earth, like a physical manifestation of something on earth. So I do think like you can now be an inspiration fairy. You can now ground that inspiration fairy presence in the world. You can make it physical, you could say, right? So you are now capable of expressing the divine, whatever the divine wants to express, right? In this world, and you do not have to have an identity. Your identity is an expression of God in this world, right? And but before you had this problem a little bit because you were like, if you were like thinking others' thoughts and others' feelings and feeling others' physical symptoms, perhaps maybe even illness, right? Then this wasn't really possible, you could say, right? Let's just see. And then, very interestingly, we have the shapeshifter. And sometimes Pook, the shapeshifter, sounds really, really still, right? But it has was definitely something to do with a fluid expression of identity, you could say, because he's not really a shape, you could say. He's not really a solid identity, right? So he is merely an energetic expression, you could say. Um, so let's see what this is about, because it's definitely talking about that. So I picked up on the right kind of strain of thought, I guess. So let's see. So if we take look at it from the top to the bottom, right? So we have this non-egoic lens that is in service of others, right? You are not really an identity, you are just a divine expression. And you are an inspiration fairy, right? So maybe God wants to express himself through you as an inspiration fairy, as someone who is an inspiration to others, who inspires people, right? Maybe also who inspires people to also let go of their identity, or to let their identity be in service of God, right? So like that you maybe that you don't really, it's not even, it goes way further than just not thinking about yourself. But anyway, but maybe you are inspiring other people to be earth angels as well. At the very least, there's something about that God wants to express himself through. If you could say himself, it's a little bit, yeah, God is more than that, right? But like, let's just, traditionally, you would say himself, right? So this is like you looking through a non egoic lens, like not really looking from the perspective of identity, and also not not expressing yourself as an identity, and God being able to be an inspiration fairy to the world through you. It's pretty much what this is. I think that that's the message here, much more than everything else that I was saying. That really is the message. And then we have the Lady of the Harvest and the Singer of Intuition. So something is manifesting on Earth. You are perhaps an alien expression on Earth, because I always see an alien there. So an alien manifestation on Earth. So I do think that you are, quote unquote, an alien expression on Earth. So it means it's an expression that is foreign to this world, you could say. And you are an expression that is foreign to the world. How does that relate to the Lady of the Harvest? Maybe also a non draining. Maybe you are someone who isn't draining to the world, who is not a draining manifestation to the world. So you are nurturing people, right? You are not draining them, you are nurturing them. You're adding something to the world, you could say. You are adding something to the world. And here we have like also sometimes this talks to me about like the angels listening. But the Buyer of the Waters is a card of like self-care. Seeing there's something about seeing the world through self-care, but it's actually care for others, right? Because you don't really have an identity, so it's kind of fascinating. I think there's something really deep to this that I'm not really understanding. So there's something about, let's see. So you are not looking to you're looking to not through the lens of identity. So as you are looking to the world, you are not seeing a reflection of yourself, you are seeing a reflection of perhaps whatever wants to be expressed through you, perhaps. So it could be that whatever wants to be expressed through you, and it could even have something to do with whatever inspiration wants to be brought to the world in physical form, right? Because that's what you are. You are whatever inspiration God wants to bring on this earth in physical form, that's what you are, right? And perhaps what you are seeing in the world will also change, shapeshift based on whatever inspiration you are supposed to bring into the world, you could say. And you're, as you are not really an identity, you're not looking through the lens of identity. So what you are seeing is also not a reflection of your identity. It's a reflection of whatever God wants to express through you is what you're going to be seeing reflected in the outside world around you, in a sense. Um, you are caring for others by caring for self, but it's not really caring for self because there not isn't really an identity somehow, right? So you are just being in service of the world. Maybe there's something about that you are caring for this, caring for whatever inspired expression even the world wants to show back at you, because it's like scrying reality, right? So you are seeing reality. And then at the bottom of the deck, so like the underlying energy, we have the footer. So it has like it's God acknowledging that you've had quite a hard journey, a tough, hard journey, a long journey, a marathon kind of journey. And it has to do with like everyone being the same, because we have rice, and like rice, every rice kernel kind of tastes the same, right? So it makes me think about everyone being the same. So you've had a very, very difficult time because everyone was the same in a sense, or everyone was expecting you to walk their journey, the same journey, to be like them, right? To be like everyone else. And this journey of being like everyone else, walking their journey, the journey of everyone else, has been a very, very painful journey for you. And God is acknowledging that through this message, that it has been a very, very painful journey for you, because you are an alien manifestation on earth. You are kind of like a manifestation that is not of this earth. You are expressing something that is not of this world, I guess. It is, at the very least, foreign to this world in a sense, because it is adding to the world and it's not draining the world. I think it has something to do with that. Just like being, if you would look at it in biblical terms, this would be like you are a light in the world instead of others like draining your light, right? Being a draining energy of the light of others, right? You are a light in this world. Um, you are different, right? So, and I do think that poverty is a part of that journey. That you have suffered poverty because you are not the same as everyone else. So I do think that God wants to acknowledge that, like, this is a card of all kinds of suffering in the world, um, physical suffering, emotional suffering, soulful suffering, financial suffering. So you have suffered in the world, you have lacked, you have been an outsider to this world as a result of you suffering very, very much as a result of you people expecting you to walk their journey, and to be the same, to walk the same journey as other people, to be the same as other people. But there's something about that you are you're supposed to be an inspiration fairy on this world, right? You're supposed to be an alien expression in this world, perhaps in the sense that you are not draining to this world, you are adding to this world, you're inspiring the world, right? So you're not, yeah, there's, and I'm feeling the chills. So actually here I was feeling the chills. So there's something about usually when I'm not really feeling like these chills through my sides, right? Normally I don't get it. It's usually in my to my spine, but like I do think that because this has something to do with me about things like identity, it relates to that. Because usually when I like not really like shivers, but like when I have like these I've had that very rarely, that I literally had like an electric bolt going through the side of my body, and then usually new sides of myself start activating afterwards. It's very fascinating what happens, because I guess like more like another expression is needed in this world, right? So so it could have something to do with that. That there is a message about that, something about yes, yes, another expression is needed in this world. So that would be the message of those two symptoms, I guess. Like God saying yes, yes, another expression is needed in this world. So I do think that that's what you are. You are that other expression. I'm getting chills again, but this time down my spine. So that's a yes, yes from God, right? Like a confirmation. Um, for, at least to me, that is always a confirmation of like, yes, that's exactly what I mean, right? Um, so something like that's right on point. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. So I do think that you are a different expression that is needed in this world, and that's why you suffered so much, because that's the case, right? And probably also financially as well, because to me at least, um, I'm again in a situation where my livelihood, hopefully that's not going to be the case, but it could be the case that my livelihood will be in jeopardy yet again because of that I am a different expression in this world, right? So an expression that God would say like this a different expression is needed in this world, but it also comes with things like financial consequences sometimes, right? Being an outsider, suffering in all kinds of ways, life being a marathon, life hurting you, right? The journey hurting you of being here on earth. There's like a logical consequence of that. And then you have the Nine of Swords and family in law at the bottom, but like literally the bottom of the deck, not the underlying energy. So the Nine of Swords something to do with like waking, laying awake at night. So to me, this means something else, because to me this talks about like the moments, times, that you are talking to God, right? So maybe God has heard your worries. He has heard what you have said to Him, right? What you have said to God, and it could have something to do with a narcissist, perhaps, because this relates, right? This fruit relates to the very first time that I met the that no that we went to eat ice cream, and this was on top of the ice cream with like a narcissistic ex of mine and his family, right? So it makes me think about either narcissistic family-in-law or um, just anything to do with narcissism or family-in-law, right? So I do think maybe God wants to say that that what you are worrying about is a narcissist, perhaps, right? That that this pertains to a narcissist. So, for example, if you have this could be an acknowledgement or a confirmation from God that you are dealing with a narcissist, and that this person, like I had an experience where my I'm again worried about my financial future in my job as a result of yet again meeting a narcissist. So I draw them to me, it seems, and my inability to be the same as everyone else, right? So, or to walk the journey with everyone else. So it's yeah, and I also like literally talk to God about that. Like it's very hard for me to go against my spirit, right? So it makes me very, very unhappy, and I was worried about that. And it's also kind of interesting that this person is has an injury where he's on crutches because the father of my boss at work, right? I like he had this moment where he had but they replaced his knee with an artificial knee, right? So, and I was being like that was kind of like moments like these, right, where the father of my boss was like always came to talk to me about this journey, right? And I also asked him about the journey with his knee as well. So so which is a really that actually was like I was treated with hospitality there, right? So there's not really an issue in the sense that I guess like there's no issue with everyone else. Like everyone is okay with me just being myself. But then yeah, there is this and also the feet that's hilarious because it has to do with the feet quite literally the feet hurting you, which is kind of funny. And these people are like walking barefoot, right? So my problem is that like at work, right? Like while I'm working, I like to take my shoes off, right, and just walk on my socks. And like, of course, he had the mother of like the whole time, like the first time I like took them off, I was like, oh, I hope I will not get in trouble with this, but like, yeah. And then I noticed that there was no trouble, so I was like, oh, nice, I can just be myself, right? Nobody was having issues with that. Nobody talked about that. But I was just even like the first time, like I totally I was like, I don't think this. That was like, it wasn't really clicking with the mother of the family. Everyone else going great, but the mother of the family, I immediately understood like, okay, this is someone of the controlling type, right? And this is going to be, yeah, stay, try to avoid her, and like, yeah, it will be okay, right? So I avoided certain hours that I wouldn't be in a certain room, right? So I would be able to completely avoid her, and everything went amazing and nothing was going on. And then of course, like she had to bring up the foot thing, right? Like she had to bring up the why I was wearing socks, right? And like, yeah, I was like, oh, here we go again, there goes my job, you know. And here, yeah. So I think I handled it really, really gracefully, and I thought it was okay. um but yeah, then she entered the room again and she started about it again. So yeah, that was a little bit of an issue. And of course, I talked about it to God like late at night about this whole situation. So I do think that God wants to say like that's a narcissist that you're talking about, which I wouldn't be surprised that I would have yet again met a narcissist on my journey. So it's a very very similar signature mark, I guess. Like people, this is a person who can't allow people to just be themselves, and then has to control other people, right? While the other people just completely have no issue with that. They're just like they're not focused on it. And they actually come and talk to me about their troubles, and they feel like they can be themselves. So it's actually really beautiful, and they really appreciate my work and how, yeah, and they value it a lot what I'm doing as well. So like everything was going amazing, all the conditions were amazing, and then she appears, the narcissist again. So I was kind of, yeah, I was a bit worried about that, and I was talking to God about that. So I do think that God wants to say, like, yeah, your feet have hurt you, right? Because you are not like everyone else. And I was also like, if I were to like wear shoes now, right, just because she has a problem with me being myself, then I would be so unhappy at that job, right? Like I have a really, really, it's really, really hard for me to be like everyone else in the sense it's not like to be like everyone else. It's just I have I find it very, very hard to not be myself, I guess, right? It's not about other people. It's just yeah, and like it makes me really, really unhappy. So and then you are allowing yourself to be controlled. And I was talking to God about that, like, yeah, maybe I should just wear shoes so I don't get in trouble and it's fine and I can just keep this job because it is important and but then of course she also invited me to her 60th birthday party. She afterwards showed me her pictures of her photography, so I was like, and I gave her compliments about her photography because also looked really, really amazing. What she had made was really professional. um so, I showed this side to her, just like to her husband as well, right? So, yeah, I was just trying to make her feel good about herself and to listen to. I do the same thing for her, right? I listen to her worries. Um, yeah. So I do think I'm being hospitable towards her as well, right? So I don't like I'm just as kind to her as I would be to her husband, right? So to the father of my boss. But yeah, I noticed that was a problem here. So and I do think what God wants to say is like, yeah, yeah, I know your feet have hurt you, and yeah, it's because you're not like everyone else, right? And people have had an issue my entire life with um like that I have to be like everyone else and I have to walk their journey and I'm just not walking their journey and I'm just not like everyone else. And it has to do with being a different expression in this world because you're supposed to be an inspiration to other people, I guess. Be an inspiration fairy to other people and as a result you cannot be like everyone else. So yeah. And it hurts you and it causes issues and even financial issues as well. And God acknowledges that, like, yeah, I see that is causing suffering, that's causing financial issues, but there is a reason, right? Your this this different expression is needed in this world. So, and this is what it comes with that being an outsider, suffering emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, it all is part of that, right? So, because you're not like everyone else, you will suffer as a result of that. So, but there's also something here about that God maybe wants to say like this person that you were talking about, that you were worrying about, this person is a narcissist, right? So that's what you are dealing with yet again. So I'm wishing you a very, very beautiful day ahead and bye bye.